This video is intended to describe a rather ambitious heavy-duty mainframe named Harmony. Before I discuss the crystalline composition, I will discuss the overture of the intention of this construct, being mounted on top of a Himalayan salt lamp, with most importantly an incandescent bulb to generate the tremendous amount of heat to provide its intended function. So the aspect 2 that I'll discuss before I discuss the rather ambitious exotic crystalline ignition sequence of this ambitious device will be the functionality of taking this entire crystalline group at max peak purified efficiency and taking this agar clip, which goes into this grounding cord right here, which goes into a banana plug that grounds into the outlet, to be a firm way to ground this energy through an entire space. So an aspect that's quite critical for this design is harnessing the wonders of modern electrical engineering that have a ground in all the outlets seen right there at the bottom of the 2 right there. That's the ground point that conjoins all outlets in any given space or place, such as a house, industrial center, even travel vans have a common ground for this purpose. So the aspect of why that's critical is to take this entire ambitious, diverse crystalline exotic group and successfully ground it through the entire space of all the outlets, which all conjoin to a common copper rod, oftentimes at least 8 foot long, to be driven into the earth to work as a tremendous bypass of energy to ground into the earth. So by harnessing that up to code standard of electrical engineering, it also gives a perfect opportunity to pilot a very diverse crystalline group at max peak proficiency through all the outlets, making a containment field for the entire space. So that's the functionality of the entire construct's intended purpose before I mention the diverse crystalline ignition order, which will start now. At the very apex of the salt lamp mainframe would be the transmutation ratio, serving as a common purification ground for all these very diverse exotic constructs, consisting of both hematite and smoky quartz on brass and silver for the output intake of the same exact grounding ratio as the top apex common ground of this entire device. So hematite is a fantastic iron-based mineral that grounds all excess energy through the root chakra into the earth stars, into the earth meridian matrix for processing, in tandem with smoky quartz, providing the same stimulation pathway function of grounding all excess energy firmly into Mother Earth for reprocessing. Hence, the 2 together have been deemed the transmutation ratio to make as a firm contingency as well for all these other high-frequency energies to firmly ground it through the body into the earth for etheric dialysis. So the aspect of why it's so important too, of course, is to make the emanations real and tangible by grounding this high-frequency energy is the prerogative here. So that's why the transmutation ratio is mentioned first as a great foundation for the rest of the crystalline tour. So the power packs seen on 4 sides of the pyramid right here are that of earth, fire, water, and wind, while this guy, the dominant lateral band right here, is considered to be the love ratio with a little bit of turquoise, which of course I'll get into more of it individually, but I wanted to give an overview of the concept once again of the transmutation ratio to be the common ground. All these frequencies, of course, are terminated to a common ground of a primary wire, which contains a circuit. That's, of course, why the transmutation at the top to be the common grounding of all this excess energy of, once again, earth, fire, water, wind, and love. And before I discuss the first power pack of earth in front of me, I'll discuss these auxiliary agar clips seen like so to work as a distinct function. So this rendition of abundance, which is the 30th in existence since 2025, is also part of this litter of the same exact device. So this mainframe can also serve as a way to ground this energy into the primary wire of the light blade wand seen right here to A, purify and charge it to max capacity frequency, as well as B, when not in use, be part of the mainframe to be charged, but most importantly also to give the energy emanation of this a safe ground in a unit to keep it arced and grounded when not in use. so that all excess stray radio energies have a safe discharge while this guy's still in tandem working in synergy with this ambitious mainframe. So I want to describe that function first. And why the clip is there is, of course, to do a direct hard ground to this emanation. So these different clips have been found on the 4 power packs right here for this various purpose of auxiliary charge ports to hardwire the compatible emanations into the mainframe apparatus. So first things first, I'll discuss the Earth power pack, and I guess I'll do this first to get this segment out of the way of the foundational cores of each of the elemental power packs. Starting off with a core of wooden oak found from this guy all the way here at the tip of my pen, my backyard in Mount Shasta, to serve as the foundational grounded dense vibration of oak for the 4 elemental power packs. Then in tandem with that would be the selenites as well as the 4 spectrums of kyanite seen right here. Oftentimes in most videos I save this for last, but I might as well discuss this first since these cores are all very much compatible with the various elemental spectrums seen in the 4 renditions of the 4 directions. So selenite always plays a critical role in any given light tech device, spirit tool if you would, for being a tremendous 6th, 7th, 8th non-physical chakra stimulant to be a tremendous gateway to one's higher self and conscious self entrainment, which is very advantageous for the true spiritual adept, obviously, and also works as a master healer with that high frequency induction to burn off stagnant energies from top to bottom. So, in that regard, it makes for a tremendous master frequency purification emanation, but where it always shines in any given light tech device, spirit tool, is the capacity to take an entire frequency range and purify all of them in the closed loop circuit and to amplify and harmonize the entirety. So that's always the triumphant trifecta of selenite's distinct, huger, efficient function. And of course, mentioning the power packs right here, we'll be mentioning all of the ones seen over here as the core of each of the nodal points. Then the kyanites are the most rapid transfers of energy in the mineral kingdom, starting with black kyanite, which is the most rapid transfer of black ray, rapid calibration grounding into the earth, in tandem with orange kyanite, which is the most rapid sacrum tandem to rapidly bridge past patterns of obsolete nature, basically. Then going into green kyanite, which rapidly diffuses energy very quickly through the heart, hence I'm moving my pen whimsically fast to do my best to illustrate the rapid transference ratio of kyanite. Then the aspect of green kyanite works very quickly to bridge any patterns of up-modeled configurations, basically, that would impede one's dharmic path from being in full conscious self-alignment, as well as blue kyanite being a tremendous third eye stimulant, as well as a way to bridge across any divisitory patterns that be interfering with the left and right brain coherence, aka the awakened third eye. So the 4 together, found on each of the power packs, is quite the dynamic, diverse, rapid transfer of energy at a very, very high yield. And in that capacity as well, with all the redirections and rerouting of energy, it's also another layer of etheric Teflon to mitigate any distortion wavelengths or thoughts or even bad vibes, I guess you could say, from being very highly discouraged from maintaining in the system underneath this much rapid transference of the kyanites rerouting and buffering energy. And I'll be clearing my throat because this is a lot to discuss while maintaining some semblance of coherence. So now, clockwise, I'll be discussing fire decks. Oh, actually, I got so distracted there, I forgot to give the contents of the entirety of the Earth Power Pack. I was so focused on the core dissertation, I forgot the aspects of why indeed this would be designated as the Earth vibration. I beg anybody's pardon. So I'll start off with right here. So this right here would be root-related quartz to serve as a massive accelerant of energy, going into red garnet, which is a very classic, famous root chakra stimulant of earth elemental concentration. Then going into golden healer quartz, which is a fantastic gold-white light source attunement alignment energy. Then going into red jasper, the quintessential stabilization of the root chakra in the mineral kingdom. Then going into rutilated quartz once again, and to ruby. Ruby is the quintessential root chakra stone of great notoriety. It's truly a precious stone that literally all mortals have heard of because it is quite simply a stone of antiquity and a true precious stone that is quite famous for millennia. So that would be the red ray earth frequency emanation with great stimulation and great stabilization, igniting like so, completing this circuit, which would make it the earth power pack. That would be just the blade band emanation to recontain the earth emanation frequency. And at the very bottom of all 4 power packs employed here is a bolt of fulgurite to be petrified lightning, which is literally the power of lightning resonated through crystal that has struck sand, which makes for a very dramatic full light activation as well as a lightning intensification of whatever frequency octave it's in conjunction with. So of course that brings a high threshold of a heavy-duty mainframe of dramatic intensification for fulgurite through the entire Earth spectrum, and such as fire, water, and wind will have this shared domination of this fulgurite being a very powerful piloting emanation. So fulgurite was a very powerful shamanic tool, spirit tool, utilized by the First Nation shamans of antiquity to intensify their prayers back to Creator in service to the people. And so in that capacity as well, it mimics the frequency of lightning, which is a very powerful dynamic lightning quick light body activator as well, and was used in resonance in tandem with the wielder to resonate the power of lightning to intensify their prayers back to Creator. So that's another aspect too of it being a practical application of a medicine tool. And then right here would be black tektite, which is a product of nickel meteorite impacting sand that carries that extraterrestrial jolt into creation from a meteorite impacting sand at great velocity and heat and pressure. So that has a very nice powerful black ray vibrational increase, which luckily from the ground up, the Earth stars up, raises vibration very intensely for the entire full light activation. But luckily, like I always say, pragmatically, it's a very foundational raiser of vibration from the ground up, which is quite advantageous for equilibrium. Then next to that would be the shungite. Shungite is quite in vogue in this day and age for being a tremendous EMF mitigator, as well as a fantastic light body harmonizer and purifier and transmuter of negativity into positivity by being a carbon-based resonance like a charcoal filter emanation-wise, as well, of course. This is pretty obvious when I say this, but even a small dose of this emanation terminated to a primary circuit, running a closed-loop circuit goes a very long way for making a very powerful EMF mitigation for the entire broadcast of this device, which is developed to ground into a house. Then in tandem up there is another bigger dose of ruby to have a stronger, dominant, heavy, corundum-based red ray root chakra stimulation of great antiquity for very much the in-the-body experience, which is very advantageous for most practitioners. The zest for life, the enthusiasm, and a new gusto for what they do with their life and why they're here on Earth. Then right here is a very special component named celestial smoky quartz. So smoky quartz, like mentioned before, is a fantastic grounder into the Earth for transmutation, but the celestial structure makes a very dynamic resonance auto-calibration for the entire crystalline pitch in one closed-loop circuit. So what that means, of course, is that the celestial quartz works as a auto-regulatory governor or dimmer switch, if you would, for the frequency pitch to be in the most comfortable range for, of course, the primary recipient, as well as any other interactions the recipient has or any other. So it gets quite complicated to discuss in a very coherent, linear fashion. I've been doing this for a long time, and it's still difficult to make it very just pragmatic and simple, but the aspect of the celestial makes it very, very auto-reactive and like a surge protector in its own right to make sure the frequency pitch of any sentient entity, being, person, human basically, is in resonant calibration and comfortable frequency pitch to auto-calibrate the entire output for the comfortability and efficiency of anybody in contact with this device. I think that will actually do it. I might have to sit down and make a thesis about that by itself someday so I get better at that particular description. And that's, of course, my whimsical commentary. And next will be fire. So I'll be starting with the blade band on the fire ratio once again. So starting off right here is another specimen of golden healer quartz, to be that gold-white source attunement frequency, going into sunstone, a lovely fire elemental obviously, feldspar-based solar plexus and sacrum stimulant of great fun, sunny, positive energy, a very good way to raise vibrations and enthusiasm. Sunstone's fantastic. Going into root-related quartz to work as an intensification for this entire closed-loop circuit. Going into tiger's eye, which is a fantastic, technically fire and earth frequency, but the aspect of tiger's eye makes a great solar plexus stimulant, but also works as a fantastic alignment of the lower three chakras to bring harmony and equilibrium to the entire lower scalping auric field. Then golden healer quartz into carnelian. Carnelian is a classic sacrum stimulant that also stimulates the solar plexus and the root chakra and the base, and is a classic stone of Egyptian antiquity to honor Horus in that capacity. So it's quite the famous orange ray crystal and very, very dominant in its effectivity as a sacrum stimulant. So that blade band continues like so to close that circuit to be fire. Then, like mentioned, the blade band proper. Here's a heavier dose of the sunstone seen right here, which is, of course, a very fantastic solar plexus and sacrum stimulant to bring extremely positive, good vibrations, enthusiasm. This right here is a very specialty fire energy frequency named Libyan gold tektite. Libyan gold tektite was a prized artifact of the pharaohs of antiquity to be carved into scarab beetles to be set in their breastplates, the Magi breastplates, which were indicative of their badge of office of the Magi God King, and makes for a very, very powerful, perhaps unsurpassed mineral kingdom, solar plexus and sacrum stimulant of high fire nature with tremendous full light body activation storm overtones. Truly a very mystical crystal that was, of course, utilized by the pharaohs of antiquity for distinct purpose, as well as it being a very powerful manifestation agent, and relevantly here for this design, a very, very powerful gold-white ray of illumination frequency that can serve as a tremendous dharmic accelerant to the recipient's highest path fully manifest in the earth experience, to be in alignment with a closer connotation to the Holy Grail, perfect alignment with the heart of creation. Then right here would be fire agate, the most stabilized fire energy stimulant in the mineral kingdom to stabilize and stimulate the solar plexus, the sacrum, and the root chakra. So it is most stable fire vibration I get my hands on, hence it's been employed right here. This right here is a very special master healer named Star Argonite. Star Argonite is a fantastic full light body stimulant as well as a calcite-based decrystallizer of any impediments of light body from top to bottom. So it's truly one of those dynamic true master healers, which I will circle back to when it's I guess I could say its colleagues are addressed when it comes to the three I traditionally use as a tremendous triumphant trifecta of healing frequencies. But yes, this is quite the dominant master healer in its own right. Now I'll be switching to water. Okay, so in the blade band of water, starting off with golden healer quartz to be once again the gold white light source attunement frequency, which is indicative of all these devices to have the subcapacitation of source energy between all these octaves is quite advantageous for a unified field alignment attunement to the heart of creation. That's how it's been designed. Then going into emerald, a very classic, famous precious stone of green ray abundance activation of the impeccable heart chakra alignment. Root-related quartz into its cousin of emerald, aquamarine. Aquamarine is a very fantastic fourth and fifth chakra stimulant of both being in the beryl family, having roughly an 8.5 out of 10 of the hardness scale to make very dense, strong atomical vibration emanations of that particular frequency pitch. So they are quite advantageous to have paired together for tremendous water activation of being the water power pack, obviously. Then going into golden healer quartz once again into moss green agate, the most stable water green ray elemental frequency emanation to work as a tremendous stabilization of this overture. So I guess I'll discuss this right now, but in the aspects of the four elements I'm using here, having a variety of the most stable vibration of each of them is a prerogative. So If I don't have a way to integrate the stability into the blade band, I will integrate it with a stone like so, such as red jasper stabilizing earth, fire agate stabilizing the fire, as well as moss green agate stabilizing the water, in tandem with the agate of blue lace agate stabilizing water as well. I just wanted to discuss that first, as well as grape agate, which I'll do individually. I just wanted to get the overview in one tangent. For the stability is quite the prerogative to efficiency, in my humble opinion. So anyway, moss green agate into the rutilated quartz, into the emerald, and so on, completing that water elemental circuit. From the ground up, this would be chrysoprase, a fantastic green ray, water elemental, third and fourth chakra stimulant of great master healing capacity of old wounds or any aspects of a tremendous emotional debris are heavily addressed and purified and released from the system with this particular water elemental frequency. Then going into blue lace agate, the most stabilizing water elemental fifth chakra stimulant, into prehnite, seen right here. Prehnite is a very fantastic third and fourth chakra stimulant of both earth and water, but also makes for another master healer of extreme soothing green ray vibrations. And a lovely fact also, I consider this a very clean attunement to the Raphael emanation of the Seraphim of creation of green ray healing capacity. So it makes a nice natural attunement analog frequency alignment to the Raphael force, if you would. Then another heavier dose of emerald, hence the green ray water emanation is quite the focus with that guy right there. Then to its right would be Larimar. Larimar is a very fantastic water and fire energy. Interesting because they're kind of diametrically opposed elements traditionally, but the aspect of Larimar of being a very soothing oceanic fifth and sixth chakra oasis of calm generator is quite advantageous to be in one's calm divine sovereign disposition. Then right here would be Seraphinite. Seraphinite is one of the holy trinity of master healers I utilize quite religiously. But it's seen here on the water elemental structure because it is indeed a green ray crystal, yet it is a storm full elemental stimulant of being a full light body activator from bottom to top, working very quickly and diligently to dismantle any patterns of dis-ease from all the bodies, from top to bottom, to quite simply serve as a tremendous seraphic healing divine rescue frequency emanation. Then right here will be the legendary Moldavite. Moldavite is quite the famous crystal this day and age as a tremendous dharmic accelerant as well as a spiritual highest truth catalyst. It has become quite famous on social media platforms such as TikTok and things of that nature for being quite infamous because this crystal is quite powerful, vivid magic for whoever engages it. So a lot of the aspects of Moldavite gets a bad rap for people saying it's ruined their life because indeed this frequency of green ray particularly is a very powerful green ray storm elemental alignment to creation with swift hurricane force of dharmic alignment. So the aspect of Moldavite being employed with great contingency and reverence is to have plenty of contingencies to get the most out of it while transmuting to expedite the timeline whiplash of one's dharmic path fully manifest in the conscious self in third dimensional oscillation. So the aspect of Moldavite makes for a tremendously powerful dharmic accelerant alignment to one's highest path in creation, which can be also associated with the Holy Grail legend. So that's a very fun fact about that very mysterious dynamic frequency, as well as it's a tremendous stone of synchronicities, optimization of one's reality, as well as internal, external movements, internal world, external situations. It is quite literally one of the most potent crystals to ever be employed for true metaphysical acceleration towards one's highest appointed path. Hence, it's been employed in this heavy-duty mainframe. And here would be the wind frequency. Starting off with amethyst to be the quintessential violet ray wind elemental crown and third eye stimulant, as well as once again golden healer quartz, gold white light source attunement, into chaurite. Chaurite is a very fantastic violet ray a crown chakra, third eye, and solar plexus, as well as a earth star grounder, which makes it a tremendous violet ray dharmic accelerant as well to successfully ground one's highest point path into reality and act from it. It's quite the fantastic wind frequency crystal that's unfortunately quite underrated or unknown, I guess you could say, for now. And it is truly a very powerful ally to one's divine appointed path in reality, hence it's been employed in this wind frequency. Then going into rutilated quartz once again to accelerate into lapis lazuli. Lapis lazuli is a classic stone of antiquity utilized by millions for thousands of years as a very fantastic wind elemental, 5th and 6th chakra stimulant, as well as a very powerful higher sovereign truth psychic stimulant, and it has quite the legendary lore around it for thousands of years, which I will admit because this video doesn't need to be any longer than it does have to be. And so that's why it's there, to be a tremendous sovereign wind, know thyself frequency, going into golden healer quartz, into amethyst, and so on, completing the wind frequency. At the very bottom right here is Tibetan black quartz. So I'll go ahead and mention this in one shot now that I've already discussed the Holy Trinity up to this point of healing frequencies. Tibetan black quartz, much like the seraphonite and the star aragonite, work very efficiently and diligently, of course, independently as well as with vibrational compound interest to perform the same energy pathway function to work as a very dynamic, full light body stimulant that works very diligently to dismantle any patterns of disease from bottom to top at a very rapid rate together as a Holy Trinity, producing the same energy pathway stimulation, but of course from 3 different emanation dispositions to provide the same function is tremendous vibrational compound interest for healing capacity. So that's why that's got, and of course it's from Tibet, so it has the natural Om emanation that is quite famous for the region, the area of nearly unrivaled spiritual discipline on the planet. Then going into labradorite. Labradorite is a classic, actually not so classic, but basically now it's become quite prolifically utilized as a wind elemental, feldspar-based third eye stimulant of wind concentration, which unlocks the unseen worlds of one's dharmic cities, or gifts, you could say, to be a tremendous shielding emanation for shamans of all strides. It's become quite famous this day and age, but there it is, a very lovely wind elemental enhancer of one's latent capacities. Then right here would be sugilite, a rather rare purple ray crystal this day and age, as a very dramatically intensive purification of the 6th and 7th chakras, as well as all the non-physical chakras with respect to one's Godhead, and also makes for a very powerful bubble of light, high yield, violet flame, purification, transmutation range its own right. And a very fun fact also is that this attunement between the lapis as well as the sugilite makes a very clean alignment to Michael, the archangel, the Michael force, if you would, to make a natural analog frequency of that lovely seraphim. So that's nice. And then right here is the grape agate, which, like I mentioned, the agates and the jaspers, is a very powerful stabilization agent to stabilize the wind elemental, the 6th and 7th. So you have the stabilization of earth, fire, water, and wind addressed. Then right here would be prophecy stone, which is quite the amazing crystal in this day and age. Discovered by a man who had an unexpected prophetic vision in the deserts of Libya. So it has a sumo hematoid base, which also means that, like hematite, it has a strong iron grounding, which provides a great grounding of energy through the earth stars into the earth. But what's fascinating about this stuff right here, actually, according to science, it has metals found in the structure that are not on our terrestrial periodic table, which means it has space metal. Very cool. And so that aspect also brings a very high frequency 6th and 7th induction of high frequency emanation that works very effectively to induce one's higher psychic capacities or put you in a prophetic state, basically, of seeing the future and stuff. Anyhow, hence the guy's name. But why it's here, of course, it's a very effective high vibration stimulant, but most importantly, as a contingency in its own right, to actually ground this into the earth for tangibility is the prerogative of why prophecy stone has been employed right here and also in many constructs at this point, since I've had a great access to it. Then right here is scolecite. The quintessential white ray stone of divinity is a fantastic 6th and 7th stimulant that is a very, very powerful divine mind alignment frequency emanation of one's truest connection to creation, which of course is very indicative to inner peace. When you have that witness self divine perspective, false evidence appearing real, also known as fear, has no dictation basically over your disposition to be in quantum coherence with your divine self. So That's why that's there, of course, as a nice little capstone. So that would be the element power packs of earth, fire, water, and wind. Now I'll be discussing the common ground at the bottom of love with a little bit of turquoise. So the aspect of the love ratio seen right here is a heavy concentration of, once again, golden healer quartz to be that source gold white light attunement to the heart of creation, which in its own right, in vibrational engineering endeavors, is self-evidently pretty advantageous for any spiritual adept. Going into rose quartz seen right here, the quintessential pink ray high heart stimulant of divine love. Going into root quartz to intensify into turquoise. So the aspect why turquoise has been employed down here is because turquoise is quite the fabulous 4 terrestrial elemental stimulant of earth, fire, water, and wind through, luckily, a 5th chakra focus. So the legends of turquoise are quite steep and would take forever to discuss, but quite literally is a world-recognized metaphysical enhancement frequency that was not just beautiful, but also a very, very powerful talisman utilized by many cultures, not just First Nation utilization, but indeed First Nation utilization is quite associated with that aspect of being an ancient grandfather ally to keep one in harmony and truth of who they are in creation. So having that high frequency induction of the 5th chakra in all the elements makes for a very nice healing pranic frequency generator as well. Then golden healer, I'll take it back. I utilize clear quartz as a subcapacitor, also be a completely neutral ambient accelerant at this base band right here to go into kunzite. Kunzite is a fantastic lithium-based pink ray heart chakra stimulant of extreme divine love soothing energy. So that would be the containment of the, once again, the golden healer quartz, rose quartz, root quartz over here, then kunzite, then turquoise, and so on. Basically completing the entire ignition sequence at the very base, and all these frequencies of this entire band of love, if you would, to be the 5th element represented here, would be grounded into the primary wire of each of these power packs to be another, just like up here, common circular ground to make a very efficient recirculation of the energy for this entire containment circuit. So that would be the aspect of harmony, which is developed to be a very diverse, heavy-duty, intensive mainframe for a house to be a very lovely, stationary, tangible containment field that has very diverse ramifications and application, obviously, of earth, fire, water, and wind in ideal balance, with love being the larger the dominance with a strong grounding contingency, being piloted by a 25-watt incandescent bulb to constantly heat this entire exotic crystalline range to max charge as well as purified capacity to once again take this entire pure metal overcharge and successfully ground it into a house to develop a tangible containment field of very diverse nature. And once again, before I disconnect from this little monologue, this also works, of course, to serve as a mainframe for compatible devices to be hooked in like so, so that the excess energy of the abundance ratio, of course, being charged at max capacity in tandem, also is being purified, emanated, and generating vibrational direct resonant compound interest, and most importantly, taking that auxiliary component right here and grounding it into the entire space as well for safe emanation discharge. Well, that would be it. This would be the heavy-duty, ambitious, diverse mainframe named Harmony. 1,000 blessings, and may the force be with us all.